everybody, it's Honest John again. Now, the white nationalists who caused the violence in Virginia, and with the full support of the President of the United States, were protesting the removal of a statue of Robert E. Lee from public property in Charlottesville. They have also been protesting the removal of other Confederate monuments. Donald Trump, in his incredibly ignorant comments on Monday, mentioned those other Confederate monuments, one of Stonewall Jackson and of course Robert E. Lee, and asked, "Are you going to take down statues of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson too?" Now, Trump was echoing the refrain of a lot of people who are protesting against removing those statues. And he did mention that they're trying to change our history and culture. Now, I doubt that any of them, especially Trump, has any real knowledge of our history and culture. So let's take a look at the history behind those monuments. While it is true that George Washington and Thomas Jefferson did own slaves, it was a common practice in those times. And it's difficult to expect that those people would be as enlightened as we are today, although it still is a moral shortcoming. But comparing them to the Confederate leaders is ridiculous. They helped found this country. They helped build this country. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Jefferson Davis, and the other leaders of the Confederacy were trying to tear this country down. They were, in fact, guilty of treason. Abraham Lincoln would have been within his rights to order the leaders of the Confederacy arrested, tried, and hanged for treason. But he wanted to heal the country, so he did not do that. He knew that that would increase the division in the country, so he held off. But having monuments to those people is only comparable to having a monument to Benedict Arnold. The American South is probably the only place in the world where they build monuments honoring traitors. And there is another historical context to those statues and monuments. They didn't just spring up out of nowhere. Most of them were built during the Jim Crow era. And they were a clear message to black people to stay in their place and get in line and not to cause any trouble. And the others were built in response to the civil rights movement. So you can talk about history and culture all you want, but the fact is that the history of those monuments is that they were motivated out of racism and not a burning desire to preserve our history. And if you really want to preserve our history, well, that's what museums are for. Thanks for listening.